Hello, welcome to the Vaycay podcast. They say every day is a vacay, especially when you're getting your breath work right. Chris has been working on this a lot. I'm getting behind it. The little bit I've done, it blows my mind. Like literally, I think I'm like flying in the room, and I'm excited for today's guest. We have Johann Urb joining us. What's up, brother?
So good to be here, man. Feeling good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Breathwork master and the creator of the pyramid breath method. We're going to get into all that. It's been enlightening for me. It was probably 2 years ago, I think, that I had my first breathwork session. And I'll just be honest, and Chris knows this about me, and honest is probably, I'm kind of the cynic of the whole, all this airy fairy stuff. I grew up in South Carolina with parents that were just straight line, and we were spiritual, but not over the top. And so I'm kind of like a black and white guy, like UFOs and all spirituality and all these things. And it's I got to see it. I got to do it. But damn, I mean, just 30 minutes of breathing the right way and in these different patterns, it opened up my whole dang mind. What the hell? Why has this been hidden for so long?
Indeed. Yeah, it's amazing. I think that a lot of the states that we can, achieve with psychedelics or, stuff like that, you realize that you actually have DMT inside of you. It's just how can we release it ourselves? And breath work is really an incredible tool for us to learn how to get into those ecstatic and super spiritual, expansive states with just our breath, just our intention. And it's life-changing, truly. You begin to remember that you're not this separate thing, with all your stories and narratives and fears and things, but you get to expand into this greater awareness and consciousness that we truly are. And it's so incredibly relieving, the feeling of there's so much more to me than just the incessant, self-talk and all the thoughts and things. And I think if everyone in the world was practicing breath work, we'd have a lot less depression, a lot less, abuse of drugs and medicines, a lot less suicides, a lot more connection and love. It really is almost too simple, yet it's true.
It is. It's so funny you've used the analogy, but it might be the freest, best drug on earth. Oxygen, if you really get it in the right places in the brain, at the right patterns, it's it really is euphoric in a way. It has that effect. That blows my mind. But Johann, let's set the table for everybody and give everybody your background. I jumped right into it because, I'm such a fan of breathwork now and want to talk with you more about that after the show. But let's give everybody a little bit of your background and set the table for what made you who you are.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I was born in Soviet Union, and which, as you can imagine, was a pretty depressing place, not a lot of fun. And then my mom and I moved to Finland when I was 10, and life got even harder because I was the foreigner. To them, I was the enemy. Even though I was Estonian, they were like, "Oh, you're Russian, and you're bad," and moved from town to town, and so just dealt with a lot of bullying, a lot of difficulties. We were really poor, and so cut to me being in my 14, 15, 16, and just feeling really, really depressed and borderline suicidal, and so I started to just try to find any way to relieve that pain. And one of the ways that accidentally I found was by closing my eyes at night, I would just kind of go into my inner world. And then I started having these wild experiences. I had an out-of-body experience. I started to travel in this inner world. And then I read some Eastern philosophy, some books, and then also came to the States for the first time when I was 16 to visit my dad, and did a double hero dose of mushrooms by myself on a mountaintop. And wow. As you can imagine, that was powerful, and really remembered that I was so much more than just my, depressed stories and belief systems and difficulties, and remembered there's so much more to me than that. And that was one of the hugest sort of portals and gateways to my spiritual evolution, I would say. And then I got initiated into Kriya Yoga, which is a very old lineage of yoga and breathwork and pranayama that I was very devoted to for years. And then but I was kind of still in a very sort of rigid path. And I'd moved to the States when I was 17, moved to New York. And then I went deep into this lineage, like 5 hours a day of practice at one point. But still was very rigid and by the book in my practice, very masculine. And at one point in my 30s, was it late 30s? I had this realization. I don't remember exactly how I got there, but I was relating to the divine and relating to all these practices as a sort of very masculine essence, and it was relating to the divine as a dude. And then something in me, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but began to relate to the divine as a feminine force. And as soon as that happened, this practice that I now call the pyramid breath method started to like literally trickle in. I felt like my crown just opened up, and I started getting like sensations on the top of my crown. And then my body began to like move, and I let go of the rigidity of just being like a dude, you know? And these sounds and these movements started to happen. And I really felt like I was guided. And then because I had people come and sit with me every day and practice with me, and first they were like, yo, what the fuck you doing? This is really weird. Like, what is this thing? Like, very different from just sitting and meditating quietly. And I was like, guys, I don't know, just do it with me, like, see what happens. And then everybody started being like, yo, this is dope. Like, what is this thing? And I was like, I don't know, it's just happening. And then over the years, really, my wife and one of my dearest friends who was there almost every day, they really started encouraging me to start sharing it more and more. And then also found, the name came through. And for me, basically, having studied in a lot of different lineages and really devoted a lot of time and effort, and also like really grinding at it for years, I was like, oh, like meditation was always hard for me. I was like, no, I'm going to do it anyway. I found this practice that is actually super fun to do, and you can do it in a short amount of time, and it's not rigid, and you get to fully express yourself, your rage, your anger, your sadness, whatever comes through, and somatically release it, which means like, you shake, you scream, you laugh, you orgasm, whatever wants to come, you let it. And for some folks, it's like, really kind of this deep, like first time really acknowledging trauma and letting that go, and tears come. For other folks, it might be like super sensual, and whatever wants to express in a moment is welcome. And so we create this sacred container for whatever is alive in you today to come through, without judging it, without wronging it, without making it bad or good, just allowing it. And then also adding in our imagination in the way that when we release this energy from our body and from our mind and from the unconscious, and instead of just trying to get rid of the stuff, we actually go like, oh, this is energy that's here for me. Instead of it's happening to me, it's here for me. So now, why don't I take, my creator seat and become a creator or a creatrix and create with this energy a better version of myself and of my life. And as we know, the only thing that exists is right now. I call it the forever now. And we know we think, oh, maybe sometime in the future, or, I'll do something. No, right now is the moment. And so when we tap into the power of the moment, and we release the stories and narratives that are disempowering, we get to then, with our imagination and with this released energy, create actually a new version of ourselves that is fun, that is playful, that is active, that is inspired, that is going to go and get it out in the world, and literally so we can have our cake and eat it too, because why not? And so that's why I'm really, really passionate about this. And again, the thing is, you can do this practice once you learn it in like 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes. You don't need to go, and be like, oh, I need an hour to do this. No, you can just get it in and be done with it and feel a big state change. And so, I'm busy. You guys are busy. A lot of our audience is busy. So it's like, we don't have I'll go and have that peak experience. It's like, no, just 3 minutes, get your peak experience, change your state, change your mind, change your thoughts, and life looks completely different.
Man.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. I was like, we've had a couple guests recently where I'm like sitting here, I'm like, I'm not sure I'm breathing while he's talking because I'm like so enthralled in like what you were saying. That was beautiful, man.
Yeah, truly. And I think what you said that I think is so important is this doesn't need to be some week-long retreat you have to commit to and some big, it's like, no, it's same. And we talk about this, Ryan, with just working out in the gym. Maybe it's 15 minutes doing a light workout, but it's the consistency. And I think that's powerful for the audience. Like, because it can be, I know for me, starting to explore breathwork, meditation, it was intimidating. It was scary because you're like, part of you's like, that's fugazi, fairy tale. What, it's like you said in the beginning, it's too simple. It's too simple for this to be the solution. So I think for me, like, that's how I think about it. If I can even do 5-10 minutes sitting on my balcony, meditating, some days that might be more effective than others, but it starts to trickle. You start to notice the little things. So I think I love hearing that, man. 3 minutes a day. Anyone can do 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy.
And you know what's so powerful is, and it's a lot of what we like to shine light on this show, which is that we want to empower people that can solve a lot of their own challenges with simple, or it shouldn't be alternative. It should be the only alternative. But instead, we all have been conditioned to rely on more complicated things, pharmaceutical things, someone else solving it. And it doesn't mean that you don't need help, but you learn a practice like what you teach, Johann. And so, but then we can heal or better ourselves. We can empower ourselves with these simple practices and things. We don't have to overcomplicate it in order to make it like taking that. It sort of takes the power away from you when you rely on others for every single thing, when you can do these things. I just think there's a lot of power in that.
1,000%, brother. And I think that, we're taught from a very young age that authority is outside of ourselves, right? External authority. And also that the solutions are outside of ourselves. And what we forget is everything actually happens from inside out. We are the ones that are constantly creating the narrative, whether something is good or bad, whether we are empowered or disempowered, we decide. And so when you reconnect with that part of yourself, that is the inner authority, that is spirit, that is soul, that is God, that is divine, whatever name one wants to give it, you remember. And not just like, I think I felt that. No, you remember because you viscerally, with your whole being, felt that power inside of you. And that doesn't mean that God isn't also out there and everywhere. And, my question is always like, where is God not, right? Or where's divine not? Everything is divine. But we've forgotten that we too are divine. And so when we connect with that soul energy, that spirit energy inside of us, that primal energy inside of us, it's so incredibly empowering and healing, because then we become sovereign, and then our cup starts to overfloweth. So the other people are like, what are you doing, man? Like, you seem good, or even when you don't feel good, that you're creating a story inside yourself right now, and you can also change it if you so choose. That doesn't mean that spiritually bypass not feeling good. No, it's all part of life, right? Pain is part of life. Suffering is optional, because suffering comes out of the story that pain isn't part of life. And so when we change those narratives around, we get to accept what is, but create a completely different narrative for it. Because if there isn't any contraction and any difficulty, any challenge, we would never, ever, ever change. We'd never grow. It's literally impossible. We would just be like chilling all the time, right? So we need the challenge, and we need the contraction in order to expand. It's our narrative about it that we get to change. Because if we add in gratitude for those difficult moments, and then we can literally breathe into it, breathe with it, right? And breath, I would say breath work, I like to call it breath play or breath pray, is I find way, way easier and quicker way and more effective way. Huberman has a great quote on this, which I think it says 5 minutes of breath work is literally like way more effective than any like meditation that he's ever encountered and studied, and like an immediate effect, right? So again, we don't have time trying to do like a 25-minute or an hour-minute meditation when you're mind is like freaking out, is you got to be a master. But with breath, you can change your state internally, not just up here, but internally. So you don't have, you take the thoughts away and you can drop into the body. The body's always in the here now. The mind is usually not. It's like in the past or in the future, you know, spinning around. But when you drop into the body, all of a sudden solutions appear. And so, you know, like Chris said, it's almost like too simple. And because we've associated, I can't buy this, a pill or a drink or a thing. It can't just be here. That's way too simple. But when we change that narrative, it is right here, and I am the solution. And man, life just fully becomes way more fun to live.
You know, it's interesting. Yeah, amen. Like, I'll say this, like, I have 4 boys, run multiple companies. Like, days evaporate for me. You know, like weeks evaporate. You know, everything moves quick. But the only time the world slows down, if you breathe the right way for like a minute, it's the longest minute of your life. It's like in a great way. Like everything slows down because you're intentional with how the breaths are. And so like, I don't know what it is, but it becomes, that minute seems longer. So like what you're saying, 3 or 4 minutes. When you said that, if I hadn't done a little bit of breath work, I probably would have been like, bullshit. You know, like what can you do in 3 or 4 minutes? But having done like even just occasionally, like when I'm like, you know, it's like I'm at a level 10 and just breathe for a minute. It's, you know, when you have something, intentionality behind that, it's longer than it seems. And I can totally see how it just doesn't, it wouldn't take that long to get a lot of benefit out of it.
1,000%. Yeah.
Is, what's your process for, you know, like working with people, Johann? So, I mean, how do people get introduced to you, and like, what's kind of like some of the blueprint of what you do?
Yeah. So, pyramidbreath.com is a great way to find me. Easy to remember. I work with groups of people as well as individuals. My wife and I also work with couples. I'm, you know, typical Eastern European guy, used to be like super shut down, very uncomfortable about intimacy, being vulnerable, expressing myself, you know, the whole mask, like I'm good. You know, somebody could throw a bottle at my head. I'd be like, I'm good. You know, but on the inside, I'm like, fuck, that hurt. Like, God damn it, you know, and I'm angry, whatever, but I just wouldn't know how to show it because I was so afraid of my rage. And so my journey has been, how can I become the opposite of that, where I'm fully expressed as a masculine man in a way that I'm not afraid of my darkness, right? I'm not scared of myself and what I can do, but how can I harness all that energy for creative force? And how can I help other men and other people to get over that barrier of you know, having those dark spots, or the blind spots rather, where we're too afraid to look at. And these are, you know, breath work is one of the modalities that's really great to experience ego and story and identity dissolution. So it's one of the pillars in what I teach and what we teach. I'm actually really excited because for the first time, my wife and I are doing a men's container called North Star that starts in November, where we have an online 3-month container just for men, held by the masculine and feminine, for the men to face their shadows, and also learning how to channel and work with your sexual energy, your urges, and also how to master all of that in such a way that now you take this energy that you've even been like too scared of, or you've just been so impulsive with it that it's become damaging. And how can you harness that energy so that it becomes part of your purpose, and you become a trustable man with all that energy? So no matter what life throws at you, if you're a heterosexual male and you see like 10 hot women walking by, you don't crash your car, right? Or like you don't lose your mind, like especially, you know, those of you guys that are in Miami. Woo! So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So how can we learn to use this energy in a way that like feeds our spirit, feeds our soul, and then also that we create with it? And it's really, breath is a huge part of that. And I'm so passionate about it because I suffered so much, and it boggles my mind. that we don't teach this stuff in schools, right? That you don't learn about breath work like in first grade or in kindergarten, you know, because I met kids who have learned it at that age. They're amazing. It's just like a totally different type of a person when you grow up with tools of communication, you know, movement, how to express yourself, anything that comes up, and learn about money, learn about all the things that we're supposed to know in life, but nobody really teaches us, and we're trying to figure that out. And the stuff that you normally learn in school that like 99% you'll forget and never use. I'm like, why are we spending time on that? So basically, if y'all want to work with me, work with my wife, reach out to us. We're so passionate about creating a new blueprint for all mankind that is open source, you know, constantly evolving. And that comes from changing the narratives that are rigid and stiff and limiting, and taking on new narratives and creating them from inside out that are right for you, that you then get to play with and become a sovereign person who's fully expressed in life. And I think for me, at least, that's the best way to live. You know, I don't have any hidden spots that I'm like not showing to the world, because, and if new ones arise, I'm so excited to share it, because I know that within it, there is a nugget of gold for my own learning and also for the learning of other folks.
I love that. And Johann, just so you know, like I normally tee that up at the end, but I wanted to do it kind of in the middle here because I think it's important. Just, I think you expressed like how you work with people that kind of hear that all kind of come together. But let me shift gears just a second here. So you're obviously empowering others. You're doing this breath work. You're working with your wife. You're doing all this. We love to talk about like wellness routines of different people. Could you talk maybe a little bit, you know, about like the rituals, the things, the supplements, the foods, like just talk about your overall wellness routine?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I think it's so important to have a routine. You know, our brain, as you guys know, automates, right? Because it's like there's so much information. So if we don't have a routine, a ritual in place that we abide by, the world just runs us. And again, it's like outside in influence versus inside out influence. And so I literally begin every single day before I open my eyes. And when I know that I'm awake, and it starts right there, I marry my psychology with my physiology, right? Because most people, what do they do in the morning? They're like, oh shit, to-do list, or got to take care of the kids, or you're immediately like going, you know, you're reacting to the news feed or like what's happening in the world. And so your body is just like stress hormones because your mind is already doing something else. So the very first thing I do in the morning is I put my hands on my heart or my belly or another part of my body, and I put a smile on my face, which tells my body that I am safe. And I go, oh, I love you, heart. Thanks for always beating. You're amazing. I love you. I appreciate you. You're incredible. Even when I'm sleeping, you're working. Thank you. I love you. And those are the important words right there. Thank you. I love you. I pick another body part, another body part. So if you notice, I'm not doing outside gratitude, right? I'm not like going like, oh, I'm so grateful for the bed or my wife next to me or whatever else. I'm focusing into my body, because what it does is it takes me into the present moment, right here, right now. And after that, I get up, you know, I go brush my teeth, I, you know, do the bathroom bit. And then I do, I have some yerba mate. My current thing is yerba mate in the morning, just to give myself a little more of that green energy. And then my wife and I usually practice together. So we do between 20 and 35 minutes of pyramid breath and creation meditation. Then every single day, and this is so crucial, my friends, is we do a gratitude practice. And usually we go for a walk. And our gratitude practice, again, is embodied. So I'm not just like, oh, I'm so grateful that, you know, the sun is out. I'm so grateful. No, it's like, I'm so grateful that the sun is out. Wow, I'm so grateful that this life is so amazing. I'm so grateful that my beautiful wife is next to me right now, that we're so in love. And we're even speaking things into existence that may not even happened yet. And so we're co-creating our future at the same time. And so we're building this quantum bridge to the future by speaking gratitude, because the body only knows what the brain tells it. So if my body goes, my God, life is incredible. What? Life is awesome. Wow. Then I believe that, well, that's a longer story, but I believe that this quantum bridge that we build literally creates our future. And a lot of it for most folks, because we have a 5-to-1 negativity bias as human beings, because we're like, danger, where's the danger? Where's the danger all the time? We're focusing on all the things that are wrong with the world, where the danger is. And so energy is flowing in that direction versus all the things that are right with the world. And so that's part of my practice every single day. I also like to work out on most days, whether it's a walk or short workout. I've been doing a lot of sort of short 15, 20, 25-minute workouts. Because we moved to Ibiza, I left all my kettlebells and things in LA. So I've been doing a lot of like TRX stuff and band workouts and body weight workouts, sprints, stuff like that. I also try to get some stretching in because, as you know, as we get older, you don't stretch, you're in pain. And then as far as supplements go, I'm really big on, and I have been for some time, to utilize supplements that help make my body create more testosterone. Because as we age, we start producing less and less. And so I use something called maca. I use Testojack 200 or other products that have long jack in it. And I find that it just gives me more energy, and I can definitely feel the difference in my sex life, as well as my workouts, as well as in my focus. And then I'm also love this product called Green Vibrance, which is basically a green powder that has all the good stuff in it. I believe that all these supplements, as well as breath work, as well as focusing on what I'm grateful for every single day, add into the mix of like why I almost never get sick. Even though we travel the world like crazy, our immune systems are really, really high. We prime ourselves for joy, for love, for health by speaking it into being, as well as with all the supplements, and as well as eating really well. And I would say another thing that is wonderful to do is I read a lot. I love reading. I love learning. And I think that that's a major component as well, is to keep your brain always evolving and staying open for new, different perspectives, right? So you don't ever, I think one of the biggest things, especially for men, that we tend to do is we get to be in the knowing because it feels safer. Like, I know how this works versus like, I actually don't know how this works, but let me learn or let me be curious about it, right? And I used to be very much in the knowing in the past. And the moment I moved into being in discovery and being in the learning, it's like the world just like fully opens up and everyone feels safe around you because you're no longer trying to be right all the time. But you rather than you're like, wow, tell me more about this. This is so fascinating. Even if it like rubs something deep inside of you in a way that's uncomfortable, when we can get curious about why we're uncomfortable, man, there's so much to learn. It's like forever and ever more in staying in the learning. So I would say that's my typical sort of a day stack of things that I do.
Damn. I mean, mine's really hurt. I mean, I try not to get a comparison, but I'm feeling deficient in several areas I need to focus on. I definitely need to
just learning, Ryan.
I know I'm learning, absorbing. I'm like, damn, I need to thank my heart more. Like, but it makes sense.
First thing in the morning, try it out, man. It really is. It sounds too simple to be effective or like work, but it really, really works. And I forgot one aspect, which is I imagine as I put my hands on my body, I imagine that there's like golden love light flowing through my hands into my body. And again, what it's doing is it's marrying your sort of higher consciousness with your subconscious and unconscious. And in a loving way. And so just calming for the nervous system first thing in the morning. You do this last thing at night as well. And man, you fall asleep so good. And your body's like, thank you for acknowledging me. I love you. Like, it feels good to just thank you. It's a two-way street. They communicate.
Yeah. What's so fascinating is, if anyone's listening or if anyone's ever gone, like any cynicalness with that, like, what I think about, because I'm usually the most cynical and I'm not right this moment, surprisingly, because you know why? I'm sitting here going, you know, I'm a big believer in, you know, mindset and like self-confidence, and like if I'm really confident or really happy about something, it seems to happen. If I'm down on it, like it seems to manifest itself in a lot of different ways that of you kind of become what you think in a lot. And so there's no different than the simplicity of what you're describing, you know, of man, you know, like, you know, I can't get out of this bed if these legs don't work. I can't, like, you know, your heart's not beating. And so why wouldn't that same, you know, mindset of confidence and thankfulness and gratitude, why would it not relate to what you just said? You know, it's like,
You said, brother, it's like we are the stories we tell ourselves, you know, and it has such a profound effect on us. And that's what mindset really means, is like, whatever we believe about ourselves to be true is true.
Yep.
So, and we often don't know that we can change those beliefs, you know, because no one's told us. And we picked up a lot of stuff as kids, or, you know, someone, you know, growing up and wherever we did, and culturally, and so we try to fit in. And so we have all these beliefs about ourselves, or what we can and cannot do, and how we should and should not be. And most of the time, a lot of them, sadly, are limiting beliefs. And when we get to change that narrative, holy smokes, it just really opens up the world, the inner world, and the possibilities that we can achieve in life. They become completely different.
Now you got to at least
get talk about this.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Ryan.
No, please.
I was going to say, it's funny we're talking about this because this weekend at the pool was one of the first times I think I've kind of thanked my body. Like, I don't know. And I don't know if it was from a book I've been reading, you know, listening to guys like you, but it was one of those, like, you know, like, look around, like no one's looking at me. Let me take this moment for myself. But straight up, like I looking back on it, like it was a positive thing. I mean, there's so, especially, you know, after I got sober and got healthy, I had so many limiting beliefs I'd told myself for so long from, you know, the years of that. I obviously, when I was, you know, drinking like a maniac, I wasn't healthy, and I had embodied that unhealthy belief system and everything. I mean, how I felt about myself, how my body operated, what I was capable of physically. And even now I'm still breaking those barriers, like going to a gym class or a yoga class that I might've never been to. And just seriously, even yoga is a perfect example. Or actually even better, breathwork. The breathwork session I went to, first one I've ever been to. Go with a buddy of mine. Neither one of us have done it. You know, I'm like, can I do this? Am I going to pass out? All that fear, all these stories I'm telling myself. And of course, you know, you go do it, and it's one of the best experiences of my life. And a year after that, it's like, I think of like a video game, like I'm getting turbo boost after, like I feel 100 times better, not just physically, but cause I just changed the narrative in my mind. Like I just now put a new story in my brain of, oh shit, you don't have to believe that old shit you've been telling yourself anymore. You just broke one of the lies you've been telling yourself for so long. You can do this. This is good for you. Like this. It's insane.
Yeah. It truly is. And I think, you know, I've certainly been there like 100 times, you know, as well. And things that I had crazy stories made up. Oh, I'm not going to like this, or this is dumb, or blah, blah, blah. And then you have the experience and you're like, holy smokes, man, that was awesome. You know, and to think about how many of us are doing that consciously or unconsciously all the time. And we don't go to that class or that new experience, you know, because we have a story made up about it. And then, and we're really just staying in that safe zone, in the knowing zone, right? This is the known world, and I'm comfortable here. And if we're not willing to push ourselves every now and then to try on those new things, and take a friend, like go with somebody so you're not alone, you know, if that's scary. And man, when we expand our awareness and our experience, it's just that whole new level and layer of experience opens up for us that is usually magnificent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially as men, where like, because I think of the narrative sold to me as a young man. yoga's not fucking cool, right? Like it wasn't a manly thing. A lot of these spiritual practices typically, you know, and at least when I was younger, I was like, nah, like, and now I'm on the other side and I'm trying to get my friends. I'm like, come on, guys, like the water is good over here, dude. Like, just dip your toes in, you know, break through that ego, like just get out of that comfort zone. Like you don't need to, you know, like let yourself be free a little bit, experience life.
Man, it's so funny too, because I'm like, you know, my male clients and stuff, if they're single, so like I can't find any girls. I'm like, bro, go to a yoga class.
For real.
Literally, you'll be like one dude to like 25 beautiful, in shape women that are, you know, flexible and also flexible in their minds, and like it's just like put yourself in the environment instead of just, you know, go to your regular bar and get drunk and, you know, whatever, you know, put yourself in the environment where like to what you said, brother, it's like I think for us men, not doing something that we know that we're not yet good at is really confronting.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the biggest hurdles to overcome is like go towards that fear, go towards somebody once said it's this really cool quote. I'm trying to remember it, but it was about like, let fear be your compass. Unless in mortal danger, let fear be your compass, pointing you in the direction you need to go, you know? And like, why is it that a yoga class can seem so like, no way, I'd rather play video games, you know, and hope for a different result by doing the video game. Like, oh, I really want to meet up, you know, a girl or, you know, evolve myself. But no, I'm just going to be here doing this thing. It's like,
so, right. I had a girlfriend that was kind of pushing me to go to some yoga, and not even just yoga, some other fitness classes as well. And I'm like, I'm the only dude in here. I feel like I look weak. And she's like, yo, like a man that's comfortable pushing his body and getting out of his comfort zone to women is hugely attractive. Yeah. And I'm like, calling my boys like, bro, you got to come to this yoga class, dude.
I don't know. You guys haven't seen me do downward dog. I don't think it's the most attractive thing on earth. I'm 6'5", 270. It ain't the most beautiful thing ever.
Big tree fall hard, man.
Yes. Like I'm like a pretzel in there, like, you know, that can barely bend. But
I mean, hey, we got defensive linemen doing yoga for the Dolphins, baby. I think you can handle it, you know?
Yeah. So Johann, you know, everybody's listening going, damn, this guy's got it all figured out. It's like he's got the perfect routines. We got to be, all right, what are the, you know, is it a chocolate bar? Is it Hershey Kisses? What are the vices? Or is it, you know, what do you do when you're just letting your hair down?
You know, for years it was sugar. And actually last year I completely kicked sugar. I went off sugar 2 months completely, nothing sweet, even just no sweet tasting anything. Cause I was a guy who would get up like, you know, 3 a.m. and go take a leak and then find myself in the kitchen, you know, in the cookie jar and then wake up with like crumbles on the pillow. And I realized at some point that I had like dudes like living in my belly who were controlling my brain, like literally. And so in order to kill them off, I did 2 months of that, then went to stevia for 4 months and, you know, and just had stevia as the sweetener. So completely went off sugar that way, which I highly recommend, friends, because it radically changed my life. So sugar is no longer it. I would say that my vices, you know, I love a good party every now and then. And I would say a very open-minded person. So you could convince me to party with you. As long as it's daytime and I'm in bed by like 2 a.m., I'm down. Whether it's alcohol or something else. You know, I think, you know, part of the practice, what I realized for myself is it can be really easy to slip all the way to the sort of spiritual righteousness place where you're like not part of the world anymore in a way. And for me, it's like, I really want to stay in it. And I think a fun challenge actually for all the folks out there who partake in partying and you know, medicines or whatever, alcohol, whatever you're doing, can you still remain present? Can you, even if you're intoxicated, let's say, can you still solve a puzzle? Can you still be present when somebody talks to you? Can you still, remain in a sort of a spiritual open space and have awareness of all your faculties while other things are present? And that's, I think, is actually an incredible tantric, even masterful practice. And so that's the practice I'm in. I would say that, if working out is a vice in a way, like if I need to change my state, I will definitely work out. I love me some good food. Oh my God. I love me some pasta, pizza, delicious fish, meat, all the things. I'm now, because I don't do sugar anymore, I tend to not overeat as much, but I could definitely finish a loaf of really good bread with butter, like in one sitting.
Oh,
that would be easy,
Yeah.
That's like no problem for me. Really good beer. I could probably have one too many. And then be like, man, I could have stopped like a beer ago. Because my wife and I drink like the 8-9%ers,
Oh yeah.
And we was just in London and we had like pints, and I was like, man, okay, presence game. Okay, I'm pushing myself. Presence game.
Yeah.
So I would say I don't have a lot of vices anymore, because I've made my life really, really fun, and the practices that I do and teach are fun. And so I'm not yearning, seeking for something fun outside of what I'm already doing. And it's working out really, really well for me.
Yeah, that's the key. Make life what you want it to be. That way you don't have to escape.
Yeah, make it fun, make it fun.
Yeah, for real.
Brother, this has been awesome. I know we mentioned it in the middle of the episode, but let's let everybody know how to keep up with you, reach out if they need or want to get involved with you. What are those hot numbers?
So on Instagram, I do a lot of DMing on Instagram, if folks want to reach out at Urb Johann on Instagram. Then pyramidbreath.com is my website. And has all the links to our upcoming men's container, as well as our pre-recorded courses. And as well as if you guys wanted to work with us privately and or, come to any of the live events that we are doing coming up. So I would say the Grams is honestly the easiest place to stay in touch with us and see what's upcoming. So I love connecting with people. I love sharing what has transformed my life. And I can tell you that I'm living it. I'm not just like a mouthpiece for it, but really I only teach and share what has worked for me. Much like Ryan, I'm a cynic. I need to have the experience and know that it's true before I teach it and share it. So just know that if you're all coming to us, you're getting good medicine, and I vouch for it, and I'm proud of it.
Awesome, man.
Nice, man.
It's been really great. Really appreciate you coming on. I can see us doing this again if you're so gracious. I think you got a lot to impart.
Chris, I'll see you in Miami. Ryan, if you're in Miami in December, maybe we'll get together.
Yeah, let's do it for sure.
And say hi to Jeremy, my homie, man.
I will, man. We'll all link up when you're down here. We'll go do some cold plunge in a sauna, do some breath work. We'll have a good time, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, guys, so you know where to find us, the Vaycaypodcast.com. Search for the Pyramid Breath. You'll find all the highlight clips, the full episode, and links to all of Johann's stuff. For Chris Hansen in Miami, I'm Ryan Alford from G Vegas. We'll see you next time on the Vaycay Podcast.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.